Hello everyone, and welcome to this video presented by Bhagat VIDYAPITH. Today we will talk about geography, in specific syllabus of class 12 under West Bengal Council of Higher Secondary Education. We will see what topics needs to be covered under this subject for the higher secondary examination. Let us begin with overview, wherein we see the marks distribution of different parts. To begin with, we have physical geography that carries 35 marks, followed by economic geography that carries 35 marks again. Lastly, we have practical, which carries 30 marks. Summing it all up, it totals out to 100 marks. One thing, in regard to this, what we should keep in mind is physical and economic geography, which is 35 plus 35, 70 marks, is the theory part. Short answer questions, 7 questions will have alternatives and 7 will be without alternatives. We will see that in total, we will be having 14 short answer type questions, out of which 7 will contain options. In descriptive type questions, at least 3 out of 5 questions will have alternatives. It might so be possible that 4 or all 5 of them have alternatives, but that is a rare case. However, at least 3 shall contain alternatives. Now we will see how the two tiles, which is physical and economic geography, divided, and how many questions can we expect from each section therein. We will see the name of the chapter, how many MCQs or multiple choice questions we have from there, how many SA or short answer questions we have from there. Both MCQ and short answer question carry 1 mark each. This is followed by descriptive question, and then total marks that we can expect from these sections. From geomorphic processes, work of groundwater and associated landforms, we can expect 2 MCQs and 1 short answer type question. From marine processes and associated landforms, we can expect 1 MCQ and 1 short answer type question. From cycle of erosion, 1 MCQ and 1 short answer type question again. From drainage pattern, once again we have 1 MCQ and 1 short answer type question. And from soil, we have 2 MCQs and 1 short answer type question. From all these sections, we can expect 1 descriptive question that carries 7 marks. These 5 sections will together account for 19 marks. We need to pay attention here is the sections of MCQ and short answer are applied for each chapter separately. However, in the descriptive type, blocks over all of these 5 chapters, meaning MCQ and short answer, the numbers are expected individually from these chapters. However, 1 descriptive type question might appear from any of these chapters. Thus, the total marks that can be expected from all these 5 chapters taken together is 19. 7 descriptive, which is common throughout, plus addition of all the individual marks. Post this, we have atmosphere, 3 MCQs and 2 short answer type questions. This is followed by biodiversity, which is 1 MCQ and 1 short answer. And lastly, man-made interaction, which is 1 MCQ and 1 short answer type question again. Another thing we again need to pay attention here is the 7 mark question or the descriptive question will not appear individually from atmosphere and biodiversity and man-made interactions. This is blocked over these three chapters, meaning one 7-mark question can be from any of these chapters. These three chapters in total account for 16 marks. 7 plus individual question numbers from each of these chapters. 19 plus 16 gives us 35 marks for physical geography. Next, once again, we will see the name of the chapter, MCQs, short answer, descriptive type questions expected from those chapters. Firstly, we have economic activities, primary activity, which is agriculture. They shall carry 2 marks by having 2 questions from MCQs and 1 short answer question. From this section alone, we can expect 1 descriptive question that carries 7 marks, totaling out to 10. After this, we have secondary activity, which is industry. From industry, we will have 2 MCQs and 1 short answer type question. And tertiary activity, followed by quaternary and quinary activities. This will again have 2 MCQs of 1 mark and 1 short answer question carrying 1 mark. 1 descriptive question can be expected from secondary activity, tertiary, quaternary, and quinary activities taken together, which will total out to 13 marks. 7 plus 1, 2, 3, 7 plus these 4 types taken together, 13. After this, we have population and settlement, and then regional and economic development. Once again, 1 descriptive question can be expected from these 2 sections taken together. Here we see 10, 13, and 12 totals out to 35 marks from economic geography. Going further, we see how group 1, which is physical geography, चाहिए? And now we will see how group 1, which is physical geography, is divided into subchapters. In details, what topics needs to be covered. The first section will include topics like geomorphic process, exogenous process and associated landforms. And that shall include gradation, degradation, aggradation, weathering, and agents of gradation. After this, we have work of groundwater and associated landforms, followed by marine processes and associated landforms. The second section is cycle of erosion, which will have mechanisms and processes including normal cycle, arid cycle, and interruption of fluvial cycle, its rejuvenation, and the resultant landforms that occur because of it. Third section is called drainage pattern, which will have topics including classification and characteristics and the relation with underlying structure. Fourth section is soil, where we talk about definition, genesis, factors affecting soil formation, the profile of soil, classification under USDA, properties, fertility and plant nutrition, and finally degradation and conservation. The fifth topic under physical geography is atmosphere. Atmosphere is further subdivided into subsections, beginning with atmospheric disturbance. Atmospheric disturbance will include cyclone, the mechanism of cyclone, cyclone of tropical zones, cyclone of temperate zones, anticyclones, their types and associated weather. We will also have a map of the world that shows major path of cyclones. It will also cover modern concept of weather circulation, jet stream, El Nino, La Nina, and concepts has to be discussed with special reference to India. After atmospheric disturbance, we have climate change. The classification of climate depending on equatorial, monsoon, Mediterranean, and climatic regions of the world. With climate change also comes topics such as climate and vegetation, which discusses the influence of climate on vegetation, its classification on the basis of plants according to Eugene Warming. This is followed by climate change, wherein we talk about cause and role of human beings, ozone depletion, greenhouse effect, global warming, and evidence that prove the change of climate. Climate change is followed by biodiversity. In biodiversity, we have its definition and then the type of biodiversity, loss of biodiversity, importance, and significance of conservation of biodiversity. We talk about the relation between biodiversity and man, and lastly, the strategies of conservation of biodiversity. The last section under physical geography is man-made. The last section in physical geography is man-environment interaction, which has natural hazards and disasters, the definition and difference, classification of natural disasters, measures of disaster, which has pre-disaster, post-disaster, and mitigation strategies. Coming to the second group, which is economic geography. Beginning with first section, which is economic activities, we have primary activity, which is agriculture. Agriculture talks about types of agriculture, wherein we learn about wet and dry crop, rotation of crop, combination, intensity of cropping, modern inputs in agriculture, technological shifting from subsistence to commercial agriculture, green revolution, white revolution, and blue revolution. After this, we have food grains. Food grains will contain rice with specific reference to China or India. Wheat, which will talk about the two leading countries in the world, followed by pulses and millets with specific reference to India again. Lastly, we have commercial and industrial crops, which will contain detailed discussion about coffee with reference to southern India, tea with reference to Sri Lanka, cotton with reference to Egypt and Pakistan, sugarcane and jute with reference to Bangladesh, oilseeds with reference to India, including groundnut and soya bean, and lastly coconut with reference to Sri Lanka again. We will also learn about importance of market gardening and orchard farming, the reasons and trends in development in recent years, with special emphasis on Mediterranean countries. Specific reference to India is also given here regarding market gardening. Primary activity is followed by secondary activity, of which the first style is industry. Industry talks about growth of industrial location, the theories of industrial location, major and minor industrial regions of the world. Types of industries will include agro-based industries, forest-based industries, mineral-based industries, and automobiles and engineering industries, specifically the industries in India and the United States of America. Economic activities will have third part that talks about tertiary activities, definition, its classification with reference to trade, transport, communication, services, tourism. Quaternary activities, which is information based, research and development based. And quinary activities, which is specialist, decision makers, consultants, policy formulars. After this, we have population and settlement as the second section, which talks about density of population, land to man ratio, overpopulation, underpopulation, and optimum population. The present trend of population growth of the world with special reference to India, impact of migration on distribution of world population, determination of population change, for instance, age to sex ratio, causes of uneven distribution of population, demographic transition model, where we talk about the present status of India, and finally we have settlement, types of settlement, rural and urban types of settlements, factors determining the type of rural settlement, distribution of rural settlement in India, classification of urban settlement based on size, function, and lastly, urbanization in India. The last section under economic geography is regional economic development. The definition of development, planning regions, hierarchy of planning, specific reference to Chhattisgarh, electronic industry in Bangalore, and growth of Haldia port. Economic geography is followed by practical. Now, practical has interpretation of topographical maps that carry 8 marks. Under the interpretation of topographical maps, we have location, topography with the help of contours, like drawing a cross section to show specific topographical features like valleys, spur, escarpment, peak, hilltop, etc. It also contains drainage systems, natural vegetation, transport, and communication and settlement. To interpret topographical map, we will also learn about correlation with different physical and cultural elements with the help of transient chart. After this, we have map projection, which includes cylindrical equal area projection and simple conical one with standard parallel. After this, we have statistics, wherein we talk about concept of data, primary, secondary, grouped and ungrouped type of data, tabulation and classification of data, frequency distribution, histogram, frequency polygon, and ogive, measures or central tendency, mean, median, and mode. Both the calculation and computation needs to be studied. The fifth part is standard deviation and coefficient of variation. Statistics is followed by project work. Project work carries 5 marks. Project work has to be undertaken in any one of the topics, and the suggested topics are People's Biodiversity Register, earthquake and landslides in the Himalayan region, volcanic eruptions in Japan, drought in Bankura or Purulia, and flood in Sundarban. Lastly, we have laboratory notebook and VIDYAPITH, which carry 5 marks, 3 for notebook and 2 for VIDYAPITH. Thus, the total marks of practical turns out to be 30. Thank you, everyone. I hope the syllabus structure and the marks distribution for 12th Standard Geography under West Bengal Council of Higher Secondary Education is clear to you. Thank you once again for joining us. See you in the next one.